Hi, I'm Kristen.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
We're readers and writers.
We're sci-fi and fantasy fans, and this is the best of all worlds. Well, hello, dear listeners, and welcome. We are excited to talk today about a book we just finished reading in the last few days, so it's fresh on the mind, and that is the new Harry Dresden novel by Jim Butcher called 12 Months.
Yes, very exciting. We've both been reading it, listening to the audiobook, so we're excited to talk about it. We haven't shared our detailed thoughts, so we're going to be coming into this fresh like you. So hopefully we'll have a good time and have fun discussing the book.
Yes, it is taking quite a bit of restraint not to discuss anything about this book. I mean, we had little comments here and there because we almost read it at the same pace, more or less. Like, we were pretty much neck and neck the whole time. I think what we'll do for this review is we'll kind of discuss our non-spoilery thoughts, overall impressions, but I do want to give a caveat to any of you who might be listening and maybe have never read the Dresden series. This book is number 18 in the series, so I think it's going to be really hard to discuss anything within this book without some references to other stories, specifically Battleground. So if you haven't read that, just forewarning, you may get a spoiler, so I just want to be fully transparent before we get into it.
Yeah, so if you want more like Dresden series thoughts, we have our other podcast that we've already posted, so you can go to that to get our thoughts on the series that has no spoilers whatsoever. This one will be more like if you're willing to have some spoilers on the previous books, we'll probably have some of that in the no spoiler section here. And then we're just going to dive straight into full 12-month spoilers after that. Something to know coming into this book that it is very much dependent on the previous books in the series to understand what's going on.
Yes. And I think that's a perfect segue into discussing just our overall thoughts. And I think the number one takeaway that I had from this book was, wow, the character development.
Yes. Yeah, this was, I think, in my opinion, probably the most character-centric Dresden book. I might be forgetting another one, but at least this one was very much centered around Harry's journey, recovering from grief versus actually being centered around a specific plot.
Yeah, I almost categorized this book in my mind as literary fiction as opposed to urban fantasy. Even though it is technically still a fantasy, it very much so feels like literary fiction, the way that it develops and the pacing of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's something to keep in mind coming into this book. If you like stories that explore the consequences of going through traumatic events and discussions about mental health and how to get through having that kind of a crisis, this is a great book for you. You'll probably love it. If you are really into a fast-paced, exciting plot that's very cohesive, you probably won't like this one as much.
Yeah, if that's what you want, read literally any other Dresden novel. This one very much so had its own pacing, and it honestly is for the Dresden fans, because I cannot see this one working as a standalone in the slightest.
Yeah, no, it's like Jim Butcher's wow, Battleground was really traumatizing. We need to take an entire book to unpack that.
Exactly. There is a major character, well, multiple major character deaths, but one in particular that is extremely gut-wrenching to Dresden, and the time following that is him dealing with that extreme depression, which is where the character-driven plot really comes in, because for the first at least half of this book, not a single thing happens. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay that nothing happened.
Yeah. No, that's definitely Like the plot is structured around Dresden's arc, not really around any of like the subplots, I guess. Like the things that are normally the plot in a Dresden book are the subplots, and Dresden's like growth and like moving forward from his grief is like the central plot basically. So yeah, very character driven would be the best way I would describe it.
Yeah, and one thing that I really love about this particular installment is just the focus on relationships and how they add to Dresden. Like, not a single relationship described in this story takes away from Dresden. They all add to him, and they all seem to support him in their own, albeit sometimes strange ways.
Yes. Yeah, in our favorite tropes podcast, we talked about one of my favorite tropes is found family, and
Mm-hmm.
this book was like peak found family for the Dresden
Yes.
Files. Like it was just it was there was so many found family moments, and I really enjoyed that about it.
Yeah, all the heavy hitters from the main series that are still alive showed their head, though I have to say, I don't think this is a huge spoiler, so I'm gonna say it now. I'm disappointed that Butters had like 2 lines.
We need more Butters.
He came back, he's here, and yet he has 2 speaking lines in the entire novel. I was genuinely offended by that.
That's all right. I'm sure we'll get more of him in the future. So
We better.
we better, or we riot.
We will. We will. And I think there's a lot of really interesting new characters that get added and returning characters that maybe we hadn't thought too much about for a while show
Hmm.
back up, which I found really fun and interesting as well.
Agreed.
Okay, I think we're at our limit for
Yeah,
what we
I
can
don't
talk
think we
about.
can keep talking without spoilers. So this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't read 12 Months yet and you still plan to, stop here and we'll see you in our next podcast.
Yes, and come back after you've read the book, and then you can see if you agree with us, and you can tell us in the comments all of your thoughts.
Yes, we don't even know each other's takes yet, so this could get
Exactly.
interesting.
Yeah, so speaking of interesting, it's always more fun to start with the things that didn't work for you. So
Yes. So what would be like the number one thing you would say didn't work for you in this one?
I think genuinely the pacing really lagged at certain times, and it was a lot slower for me to read. Usually, one of these books I would finish within a few days, sometimes even faster than that. But this took me the better part of 2 weeks to get through because I didn't find myself running back to the book, even though it's really good. The pacing really kept me from getting as high energy and high investment in the story.
I agree. I'd say that's pretty much my top complaint about the book
Yeah.
as well would be that I think the plot just wasn't as strong because it was so centered around, Harry's development. It
Mm-hmm.
kind of skipped around and felt rather disjointed,
Yeah.
which I think was in part necessary because of the kind of story it was trying to tell, but
Mm-hmm.
also it felt weird as a longtime reader of the Dresden Files,
Yeah.
being like, this is not how it usually goes. So that was, I guess, it didn't entirely like take me out of the book. I still really enjoyed it, but that was a little weird, just the way there were so many different plots interwoven and they didn't exactly like flow super
No,
nicely.
there was not much flow in this one. No offense, Jim Butcher. Like, this is really peak writing in a lot of ways, but the flow was not there.
Yeah. It's like, and I will respect it because it allowed for other awesome things
Right.
to happen. But yeah, that is the one sacrifice that was made to really focus in on the character arc was, yeah, just so many random plot threads kind of jumping in and out with no
Right.
particular pattern.
Yeah, and they all took a really long time to develop so that by the time you get to the last like 10% of the book, that's where everything happens. Like he saves Thomas, and they have the giant fight with the ghouls and the black vampires all at the last 10% of the book. So, like the final pages, I think the fight stopped, and we maybe got a chapter to kind of like decompress after the fight, and it was over.
Yeah. It was, I felt that was the part that was like most especially jarring for me. It felt like
Yeah.
saving Thomas and everything that happened there should have been the climax. And then it was
Right.
like, no, second climax.
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt because the emotional climax was absolutely everything that happened with Thomas. And I almost felt like, at the point that we got to it, I was getting disappointed because I was like, okay, well, this is a Dresden book. We're at like the 85% mark. That means this is the climax and nothing else is going to happen. We're going to have fallout. That's that's just how the Dresden books always go. But in this one, we save Thomas, and then there's like a massive fight that's intense, and you've got all the people that we've been collecting throughout the entire novel. We got the gargoyles, we got one of my favorite characters of this book, Bear, a lot of good things, but it's just so compressed into the ending, and everything else drags so much that it impacted my ability to give this a 5 star.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. That's what brought it down for me as well. It could have gotten a 5 star if not for, yeah, the plot was just fine to me. It wasn't stand out because
Right.
of the pacing issues.
Yeah, honestly, it all comes down to pacing because if you take away the pacing issues, I think this was really some peak Dresden character
Hmm.
development.
Absolutely.
It just, yeah, it felt like you were like rowing upstream through honey. Like, just not a great experience from that
Yeah.
perspective.
And I mean, I personally like I still made it through this like pretty quickly, and this is coming from
Yeah.
someone who has been struggling to read audiobooks recently. So I was still like I'm just so invested in the characters at this point that it's like I
Mm-hmm.
just liked hanging out with them, so like I could listen to it forever. But at the
Yes,
same time,
exactly.
it was like I was still feeling it's like I'm hanging out with my friends, but it's really choppy. Like we're sitting on a boat and
Right.
it's bumping up and down.
Yeah. I'm hanging out with you guys, but literally nothing is happening. So, like, I really appreciate the camaraderie, but, like, are we going to do anything or are we just going to sit here? No, we're going to sit here. Okay. Okay, fine. Until a little after halfway. I think, around the 70% mark is when things picked up, when Mab has that big reveal. Then the story really picks up, and I couldn't put it down after that point. But
Hmm.
man, getting to there. That was rough.
But yeah, at least from my side, that's all I had on the negatives. Were there anything else you wanted to share?
No, that's literally my only con from this one.
Yes. So now we can get into the things we liked about it, which is a lot. So
Yes, a
if you're
lot.
worried, don't worry because we really enjoyed this book.
I believe it was chapter 3 when Molly came in and just had that really beautiful heart to heart with Dresden that I knew I was going to love this book because Molly's always been like a really important character throughout, and she's really matured in the last few books, and she's becoming an adult, like a full-fledged adult, and she's very mature in how she handled things while also kind of like dealing with the political game with Mab. Like, she is the Lady of Winter, but she has her own things that she wants to make happen, and so she's quite rebellious still, which I appreciate. And just the way that she shows up for Dresden is just really beautiful. And yeah, as soon as that scene happened, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a banger.
The moment I realized this was going to be a story like talking about someone like getting through like a mental health crisis, I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
this is not going to be for everyone, but it's definitely going to be for me.
Yeah, and talk about mental health crisis. I mean, the first full chapter is just Dresden going through his routine very poorly and ineffectually because he's so distraught that he literally can't even like wake up or do the bare basics for himself. And it's not until, Molly comes in and then eventually Fitz that the story really or Dresden actually makes some sort of movement in the right direction.
Hmm. Yeah, it's very much a story of like you can't do this alone. Like you need to get help, you need to lean
Mm-hmm.
on other people. And I thought that was like a really beautiful message, just the way like so many of like the recurring characters from throughout the series like came in and were there to support Harry because he had been there to support them. And so it just like all of that like reinforcement of like all these people that he's helped like coming back to help him. And it was, I just thought thematically this book was just really beautiful in that way, and themes are one of the most important things to me as a reader. So that was easily the thing that stood out most for me in this book, was just the way it explored the theme of like grief and depression and how you overcome that with the help of others and with learning to give yourself some grace too.
Exactly. And I feel like that's amplified with every single character that comes in. There are so many characters that, if it were any other Dresden book, I would not have trusted Laura at all. Like, Laura is quite honestly very conniving, and yet I never once doubted that she had Dresden's best interest in mind, even though I should have doubted it. Not a single time did I doubt her goodwill towards Dresden.
Oh no, 100%. I'm the same way. Like, I mean, to be fair, I really like Lara. Like, I think she's an interesting character, and like, even though she's like sketchy, like I've always kind of implicitly known that like she's not all bad. I mean, yeah, I'm the person who loves redemption arcs, so let's be clear. I'm like, yeah, she's fine. This is fine. Yeah, she does like some murder and stuff, but it's okay because she has good intentions mostly.
Exactly.
But no, I think this book was like a really like good showcase of like, yeah, she's definitely not perfect, but in the end, like we see like how deeply she cares about Thomas. And like that bond really brings her and Dresden together because he's both of their brothers and they both love him dearly. And it really humanizes Lara, like seeing that she might be a vampire, but she's still capable of love.
I mean, honestly, the position that she put herself in to let Dresden experiment on her tells you everything you need to know about how much she loves Thomas, because that was such a huge risk for her to put herself in this pentagram and to risk being locked in there, or to risk being like torn apart. Like, who knew what would have happened when Dresden did that experiment? He could have killed her.
Yeah, that was for sure. Like, okay, she is committed to saving her brother, even if it costs her like her life.
Yeah, and I was really worried, to be honest, that the final moment when they actually do go to get Thomas out wasn't going to have high enough stakes. I thought, oh, like, well, obviously Dresden's going to get it, which, I mean, obviously he does, but even though I knew like that he would ultimately be successful, I still question it in the moment. I was like, whoa, are they about to die? This demon seems pretty intense. Like he wants to just destroy everything. And then, of course, Dresden just uses his same old tricks that he uses every time, which is to use logic on these people.
Haha,
You don't want to kill
logic.
him yet. You want to live for hundreds and hundreds of years so you can wreak all kinds of havoc. The logic of that argument was just fantastic.
Yeah, it's good. But yeah, I did really enjoy that whole like climax of the situation, like with Thomas and his hunger, and then Mab threatening to kill Justine but totally like faking him out and all of that. It was good.
I think this is probably one of my favorite books for Mab. As we've talked about before, she's one of my favorite characters, but in this particular book, she's so like you see the good side of her, even though it seems like she's doing her usual thing of conniving and like planning and plotting, but her plotting is requiring Dresden to be a good person. So she's planning for
Uh-huh.
him to be a good person and she's helping him be a good person while also getting what she wants. And you can tell that clearly Mother Winter is like pulling her own strings with Mab, and Mab is like playing to Dresden's strengths and accepting those and helping him, which is ultimately making her a better person.
That was definitely interesting. Like when she went for Justine, I was like, no, this has got to be a play. Like, because I don't believe she's
Right.
just that evil. And sure enough, it was a play.
Yeah, I mean, who could do that to Justine? Like, literally the sweetest, most purest of all the souls within the Dresden series. You can't kill her or do anything bad to her. Like, yeah, she's been taken over by this demon or whatever, but like, we can't kill Justine. She's just so innocent and perfect.
Although I will argue that the sweeter and purer soul is Mouse.
That's
There's
true.
no beating Mouse. Mouse is the best boy.
Honestly, I really think it fits for Mouse to be with Maggie, and I understand that decision, but also that means there's less Mouse that we get to interact with, and that makes me pretty sad.
But the good news is that Maggie moves back in with Dresden in this book, which means more
Right.
Mouse.
Yes, actually, their relationship is probably one of my favorite factors of this book. The way that it, like, his desire to show up and be a good parent for Maggie is one of the main motivators for him to get over his depression.
Hmm. Yeah, and I thought that was like really beautiful. He's like, I can't just get over this for myself, but I can get over it for her. And then somewhere
Mm-hmm.
along the way, it ends up also being for himself too.
Exactly. And he needed that. I mean, what was that moment when he talked to Karen's ghost for the last time? I can't remember
Oh yeah.
exactly the details of it. I just remember like this feeling afterwards of just perfect closure and just knowing that he can finally move on while not having to say he stopped loving her or anything, but like he's letting her go.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I thought that was done really well, and like overall just the whole like mental health like improvement journey, like as someone who's gone through not at all the same thing Dresden went through, but having to like pick myself up after being in a bad place, like this story really hit home for me. Like it felt very realistic, and like it seemed like it was written from a place of understanding. Like I don't know about Jim Butcher's life, but it felt like he really got what it's like to like go through this kind of experience and find a way to come out the other side.
Yeah, it was almost like the opposite of what happened in Ghost Story. You know, like all those characters in Ghost Story had let their depression and their grief make them a little bit worse. Like all of them got. That's when Molly ended up agreeing to be the Winter Lady, more or less. Like she started taking Mab as her mentor, which was like, whoa. But she did that in her like grief-stricken state, and a lot of things went south with all the characters in the Ghost Story. But so it's like almost two sides of the coin for this one. I can see why, from from what I've been reading, people have connected them as having a lot of similarities. Those two.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Like I had the same thought reading this. I was like, this is like the closest book to this is definitely Ghost Story, which is another one of my
Mm-hmm.
favorites. So
It
not
is.
surprising that I
Yes.
enjoyed this one too.
Yes, character driven stories are always fun, especially when they're centered around grief and building relationships. And speaking of characters that are in Ghost Story, we haven't even really talked about Fitz, but I feel
Oh
like that
yeah.
relationship is so pivotal to this story.
Yeah, I was since I'm a person who loved Ghost Story, I was excited to see Fitz come back. I thought that was really
Yes.
cool because he and Dresden were kind of forming a bond in that book, and so seeing him come back and become Dresden's apprentice, I was like, yes, he has an apprentice again. I was like, and that was good for him.
Yes. It was. I feel like he needed that apprentice in order to kind of get out of his own head and give advice to someone else who's also depressed, who's also having a hard time, and help lift them up, and in so doing lifting himself up.
Yeah, no, that was really nice, and I look forward to seeing more of their relationship in future books, and it was especially nice just to see him being able to protect Fitz from the White Council, just because of all the history with him and the White Council, and then Molly and the White Council, and he's like,
Right.
no, like I am keeping Fitz out of this, which was
Yeah,
really nice to see.
he does a lot of interference for the White Council. I'm actually really glad he's no longer part of the council at all, and that he can be a third party observer, because I mean, I guess this all kind of fits together, but he basically stopped the dark wizard stuff that they were doing, which they were doing in order to protect themselves in some weird way. But they were also wreaking havoc on a bunch of people, and he's like, hey guys, let's stop that now.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like an interesting thread, just seeing him be like, no, guys, you don't get it. Like, this kind of stuff will get you killed.
Yeah. And then the non-violent ending where he saved pretty much like all of the human lives at the very end when they were
Hmm.
protesting and counter-protesting, and that was I don't know, really satisfying that he was able
Hmm.
to save them all in a very clever way without it feeling like it was plot armor or
Hmm.
random justification. It felt like realistic.
Yeah. No, it definitely felt earned. And yeah, I really liked that. It was just kind of like Harry, like proving, like, no, I don't need to hurt innocents. I don't need to use dark magic. I can do better
Mm-hmm.
than that. And like proving all the people who doubted him wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, there's just a lot to love about this particular installment. I'm actually disappointed that the pacing was the way that it was, because otherwise, yeah, this might have been one of my favorites. I still think other books stay higher on the list, but it's definitely, in my opinion, I think it's better than Battleground or Peace Talks.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think I have this ranked at least according to my spreadsheet of ratings, which is, very subjective. Is currently
Hmm.
ranked at my fifth spot. I don't
Yeah, that feels
know.
about right.
It at first I was like, that seems high, but like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, but themes are the most important thing to me,
Right.
and this book just nailed the themes. So
Yeah.
I think that's what put it so high for me.
Not a wasted
Hmm.
character. Mm-hmm. There's not a wasted character. There's not a wasted plot beat. I mean, yeah, the plot is slow, but each plot beat feels necessary to build into the next one. And I almost feel like 12 months is very on the nose, right? Like it takes place over the course of the 12 months following the war. And so that just in and of itself gives you the sense that time is not going to move in a very ideally paced way.
Hmm.
It's going to move in a much more realistic way.
Yeah. And like that is the one thing that it's like, even though it wasn't my preference for the pacing to be as disjointed and bumpy as it was, at the same time it worked for the character arc, because that's what healing is. Like, healing is not linear. Like, it's very bumpy. There are ups and downs, and like at first you're having more bad days than good, but eventually you have more and more good days, until suddenly you're, on the other side looking back going like, wow, look how far I've come. And like, I think as much as we're giving a little bit of crap over the pacing, I think in a way it really did help to illustrate just kind of that bumpy progression of going through a healing journey. So it's why I'm a little mixed on the pacing, where I'm like, well, this wasn't my preference, but it also worked for the character arc. So it's mixed.
Exactly. So if you like literary fiction, I think this book would be very much so up your alley, especially if you have the context of all the other novels building up to it. Um, And I liked the new character that was introduced. I really liked Bear. I thought she was like almost a Karen stand-in, but without the sexual tension.
Like a really tall, buff Karen stand.
Yeah, exactly. Because, Karen's tiny, but they're both like that kind of like, it's an almost paladin esque aesthetic. She's kind
Hmm.
of like an angel, like a guardian angel, but she's really no nonsense. She's got like a giant grenade cannon thing.
Yeah, no, Bear is great. I enjoyed her, and I enjoyed just like a good like no nonsense, like I'm not gonna take your crap kind of character
Hmm.
as a good archetype. So I liked having her around a lot.
I did too. And again, I think just the relationship and the twists that happen with Laura are really some of the most interesting things in the
Hmm.
whole series so far. And I'm very curious to see what Mab has planned using the White Court.
Yeah, no, I thought that was very interesting, and I'm very intrigued by the fact that like the White Court Hunger is literally just like a baby outsider. Like that is fascinating, and the way like it played into like Harry being Starborn, I think there's a lot more to like unpack with this, like going into future books. Like, are there any other like supernatural powers that are actually secretly outsiders and we didn't realize it? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of potential for intrigue there. So,
Yes, and Mab clearly knows something that she's not telling us.
what
She's got
else
a
is
lot
new?
more information. It's definitely set up very well for the story to continue. And actually, I was a little annoyed that the story ended where it did. Like, yeah, I'm happy that there was a fight. The fights are always fun. And it was very nice that nobody got hurt, which is rare because almost every
Hmm.
time someone leaves with a major injury. So that was a pretty amazing outcome. But that is a battle, not the war.
Yeah. Well, there was one gargoyle that got smashed.
There was poor what wasn't it? Wasn't it cinnamon?
Cinnamon, yeah. But
Yeah.
apparently cinnamon will be better, which is good. I loved that was another like new addition to the story. I loved the gargoyles. There's just something I just love like a character that takes everything way too literally.
Right.
And
Yes.
I was having a fun time with that.
I really did enjoy the gargoyles too. They were just a fun little addition, and they're not exactly what you expect when you think of a gargoyle, but it was fun and it added a nice little dynamic. It was
Mhm.
temporary. It wasn't like the biggest side plot or anything, but it was fun and they were necessary in the final fight, so it's
Hmm.
good that they were there.
Yeah, like they were helpful, they were fun, but they didn't take up like so much time that you're like, okay, now I'm bored of them.
Right.
Like, let's move on.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
they had like exactly the right amount of time.
And who knew that Dresden could still, or that Butcher could still show us new world building that we have not yet expected?
Yeah, it's like, oh, and now there are gargoyles. Okay,
Exactly.
cool. They eat stories.
Right.
It's like, do you want food? No, but I would like a story. I'm like, that's adorable.
It is. But I think the last thing that we got to talk about is what do we think this deal is with Dracula?
Oh yeah, that was interesting. It's like he's plotting something and he's being very like chivalrous about it, which is
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So it's like what is he up to? Like is he an enemy? Is he like a the enemy of my enemy is my friend? Like I
He
don't
definitely wants
know.
something from them. He
Yeah.
definitely wants something from them because he demonstrated very early on that he could kill them in an instant if he wanted to.
Hmm.
He helped them in that final battle. He's part of the reason that the final battle wasn't a bloodshed and that they somehow managed to scrape by unscathed because he gave them a heads up that the battle was about to start.
Yeah. I think it's got to do something with the fact that he and Harry are both Starborn. Like he must
Mm-hmm.
be plotting something Starborn related that he needs Harry for.
Yeah.
but I don't know what, because I feel like we don't know enough about the Starborn yet to really understand, like, other than the fact that they can like influence outsiders, like why else are they significant?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've learned that yet, or if we have, it has escaped my mind. But there's got to be much more to be revealed about what being Starborn
Yeah.
means, and I think Dracula is probably kind of the key to finding out more.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to be the main focus of the next book, and hopefully Bear stay. I feel like Bear's around to stay for a while because it kind of seems like she's the new bodyguard.
Yeah, she better stay around. I like her. She's
Yeah,
not
she's
allowed to
one of my
leave.
favorites. Exactly. She's just so sweet, and yeah, no nonsense is really the best way to describe her. Just this giant 7 foot tall, 250-pound woman of pure muscle.
Yes, yeah. No, she's great. And we also got to see more Michael in this book, which was great. Having
Yes.
Michael around, just being the best friend ever, just so supportive. There was one scene with like him talking to Dresden about you're doing bad in the moment, but like you're going to get better. Like you will
Mm-hmm.
see eventually, it will happen. And like I was like putting away the dishes when I read that scene. I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
no, you're getting me choked up, Michael. I'm busy right now.
Michael is the dad we all want. Like he just comes in and he just lays down some really like wise things, and you just want to hug him
Yeah.
at the end of it
I'm
all,
like,
and you want him to hug you.
yes. I want him to be real.
Exactly. He's so wholesome. Like I don't know. I know that there's a lot of things that we could be annoyed with at the Dresden series overall, but I feel like Michael makes up for any of the negatives by being just so
Yes.
gosh darn wholesome.
You just put Michael and Mouse in a room and they just fix everything. Because between the
Exactly.
two of them, it's just like this is the most wholesomeness you will ever find.
Yes. And definitely a lot of interesting things for the next book, but my number one prediction is it's going to be mostly about Dracul. I want to call him Dracula because we know that's who it is, but Dracul.
That makes the most sense to me too. It's like we gotta explore what he's up to, and hopefully, I
Mm-hmm.
really want to get more about the Starborn and Outsiders. So I
Yeah,
think that'll do it
exactly.
too.
Yeah, well, I think there's going to have to be a lot of both because they seem pretty mutually dependent upon each other. So I'm very curious for this. I feel like this next one's going to be really interesting. It's probably going to pick up pace as well because we're done dealing with some depression. Now we can get back into the high octane Dresden that we know and
Yes.
love.
Yes. Oh, and also, my one thing that I felt like was really missing from the story is Marcone. Like, what's Marcone up
Yeah,
to? He's got he's like a Denarian now.
right.
What's he been
Yeah,
doing?
there was literally one mention of Marcone, something to do with his guns or something. Like he maybe helped in some like off-screen way, but I was like, yo,
Yeah, he sent his
Marcone is
Valkyrie to
like,
help, and that's pretty much it.
oh, that's what it is. Oh, Bear was his.
Or no, it was Guard. Guard is his Valkyrie.
Oh, yeah. He just had such a small role. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
I was like, what are
something.
you up to, Marco?
Yeah, he's clearly busy with something post the fall of Chicago. What is that? And that,
Mm,
I think we can add that to our predictions. That's absolutely gonna have to be a pretty
yeah, it's got to be
significant
addressed.
part. Yeah, Marcone is the type of guy who would get involved with someone like Dracul.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I'd say those are probably two of the things that we need to see more of. Like we didn't get a ton of it in this book, so
Hopefully, it comes out a little sooner because the last book, what was there, like 4 years between them or 5 years between them? So
yeah,
hopefully, we don't have to wait as long for
I
another
hope so.
one. I also heard there's like a side story that's coming out or like a novella or something that's going to be coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, that would be good. I've like read the like side jobs and briefcases
Mm-hmm.
collection, and those have both been enjoyable. I just love the world and characters so much that I'm like, just
Yeah,
give me all the stories about them. Like I'm gonna
exactly.
enjoy them.
Exactly. Well, I think the key takeaway from this book is it is really great in the context of the full series. Would definitely not recommend it as a standalone, but it for what it does within the series and how I feel like it'll be a milestone in the grander scheme of things, I think it does what it needs to do quite effectively.
Yeah, it's really a good follow up to a rather traumatic book in the previous one. So I think it was
Yeah.
definitely needed to really explore the ramifications of not only, Harry's great loss, but also just the damage to Chicago itself. I think exploring those two things and like rebuilding personally and also like in the greater world was necessary for this book. So I think it did exactly what it needed to, and I think we're building back toward more high-paced, exciting plots in future books.
And a lot of political intrigue coming. I can see it, especially with Mab and
Hmm.
Laura and Dracul. Like, things are building up. There's
Yeah.
gonna be some crazy stuff happening very soon, and that makes me excited.
Oh my gosh, if Harry's gonna have to like stop a fight between like Dracul and like the White Council or something, because the White Council's still mad at the Black Court, like there's
Oh,
gonna be some drama going on with the White Council involved in this too.
oh, for sure. Yeah, they've been eerily absent. I mean, I know we had Carlos and we had that other chick whose name is eluding me right now, but they're weirdly absent, which is disconcerting to me. But yeah, those are our thoughts on 12 months. Would be very curious what your thoughts are, what you liked about this, if you didn't like this. I feel like this book may be one of those where the reviews are pretty mixed. People are either gonna really like that it's slow paced or they're gonna hate that it's slow paced and they're gonna feel like it's too slow.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think this is it'll probably be a little more divisive, but if you're a reader like me and you like themes and character development, like the plot is good enough that you can, get past that to really enjoy the themes and the characters.
Exactly. Especially if you like literary. If you don't, I would recommend still putting up with the book because, there's a lot of value and there's a lot of big picture strings being moved
Hmm.
around. So it's definitely worth reading. And I would agree, I think it's in my top five.
Yeah, it surprised me to get there, but I'm like, yep. It it just it lands so well, like on like a personal thematic level. So
Yeah.
that really did it for me.
And Jim Butcher is just incredible at this point at writing character and just making it all integrated into the story in a way that feels natural and realistic and yeah, very, very good craftsmanship.
Yeah, agreed. It's really cool to see like from the early books like up until this one just how far he's come like as a writer. It's
Right.
like that as a fellow writer, I'm like that's some respect there to see someone like really improving at their craft. I'm like, well done, sir.
Yes, it's inspiring. Absolutely. Makes me want to be less concerned about my first few
Hmm.
novels and just be like, okay, enough is enough. It's all right. You
Hmm.
can get better with time. People will have patience with
Exactly. Like
you.
people grow, writers grow, and you just got to keep pushing forward.
Well, thank you all for listening to our episode today. Tune in another 2 weeks to hear something else, whatever else we're going to talk about next.
Yep, and be sure to share your thoughts down in the comments below.
Yes, like, subscribe, all those things, save, yeah, whatever the algorithm
You know what
wants.
to do. You're
Yeah,
smart.
exactly.